Hello, my name is Paula Bell, also known as the BA Martial Artist, and I have over 20 years in leadership and project management experience, where I have effectively led multi-million-dollar projects for large organizations. And due to that, I have had the wonderful opportunity of working with difficult stakeholders, which I am sure you have as well. And in this video, I will discuss my top 10 tips on how to work with people who get on your very last nerve. Now, as a martial artist, there are 5 tenets we recite and believe in. They are courtesy, integrity, perseverance, self-control, and indomitable spirit. And believe me when I say, I have to use all of these when engaging with others. So here are my top 10 tips on dealing with people that are difficult or that you don't particularly care for. Number 1, remain calm and composed in the face of difficult behavior. This is self-control. Number 2, don't take it personal. This is self-control. Number 3, control your reaction and protect your energy. This is your integrity. Number 4, listen actively and try to understand the other person's perspective. That's courtesy. Number 5, avoid making assumptions or jumping to conclusions. Courtesy. Number 6, think before you respond. Self-control. Number 7, don't respond out of emotion. Self-control. Number 8, hold them accountable. That's integrity. Number 9, communicate assertively, expressing your own needs and boundaries clearly. Indomitable spirit. And number 10, take a step back and reevaluate the situation if necessary and seek outside help if the situation is not manageable. That's perseverance. So, as you can see, that's why I'm called the BA Martial Artist, as I leverage these fundamental tenets in everything that I do. Now, I remember working on a board years ago where I had to work with someone I particularly didn't care for. This particular person felt they had the right to treat people any way they felt and say whatever they wanted to say. Might sound familiar. Now, I used to dread it when they showed up for meetings. I just didn't know who I was really dealing with. And this person was older than I was, and I was raised to respect my elders, so I would hold my tongue. Until I didn't in an email. I didn't realize my rant in email went to this individual directly until a board member advised me that I sent it to everyone. And of course, that created an awkward situation. But I owned my wrongdoing and apologized, though those apologies never came from the other side when the other person did something wrong. But I did know that if I didn't get my crap together and stop allowing them to control me and the way I responded to them, I was not going to be as effective in my role as I needed to be. And maybe you can relate to this. I am sure you have encountered individuals in your day job that you don't particularly care working with, but unfortunately, you do not have a choice. You have to work with them. And I'm here to tell you, there is hope. You can work with them. It's all about how you work with them while protecting your energy, keeping it professional, staying true to yourself, and protecting your boundaries. Now let's go a little deeper on the tips. Let's start with tip number 1, which is to remain calm and composed in the face of difficult behavior. To remain calm or composed, in its simplest definition, means not to show or feel strong emotions such as excitement, anger, or worry. Now, controlling your emotions is not always the easiest thing to do, and sometimes our emotions do get the best of us based on the situation. However, here are some tips on how to do this. Take a deep breath. Yes, take a woosah moment. Sometimes people will come to you reckless with their words, and you will need to get recentered. A deep breath can decrease stress. By breathing slower and more deeply from your stomach, you signal your nervous system to calm down. And when you take this deep breath, you focus on breathing from your stomach, pushing your stomach out each time you inhale, taking longer breaths, counting at least to 3 for each inhale and exhale. Sometimes you may need to count to 10. I know I do, depending on the situation. But another tip also is to come up with a couple of go-to responses, such as, "That's an interesting concept. Can you tell me how you came to that conclusion?" Or, "I'm hearing you, but not necessarily agreeing with you. Can you tell me more about your perspective?" Acknowledge, own, and process your feelings. Your feelings are very much real, so take a moment to acknowledge that you are feeling. You have a right to feel how you feel, but you also have a responsibility to respond to those feelings in such a way that it doesn't harm you or others around you in a monumental way. Okay, let's move on to tip number 2, which is don't take it personal. Most of the time, you as a person is not the problem. Many times people are taking out their own personal frustrations on you. They may not be happy with themselves and they're trying to project that energy on you. It goes back to that phrase, misery loves company. Don't allow that negative energy to come into your space and consume you, because now you have given that person control over you in respect to your responses, actions, and behaviors. Instead, change your mindset. Recognize it's not about you as a person, it's about the issue that the other party or parties are having and they're trying to project onto you. Don't internalize it so it consumes you. Try to focus on the problem at hand rather than the person. It's truly the problem that needs to be solved and where the attention should be directed. Which leads me to tip number 3. Control your reaction and protect your energy. It is very important you stay true to you and your character. We all have environments we thrive in. When negativity and distraction infiltrate that environment, that causes instability. And when you are unstable, you can make impulsive decisions, respond in ways that are out of your character. You can also increase your anxiety and more. So it's important to take your power and control back by refocusing on the issue at hand and not the distraction that has infiltrated your environment. Let me be clear. What I'm explaining here is not easy to do. I have struggled with not taking things personal, but when you begin to realize that you are allowing someone else to get into your space and impact you negatively on many different levels, you begin to appreciate and understand that you may not be able to control other actions, but you sure bet can control your own. So when you execute that control and come out of it, you'll be that much stronger and that much less stressed. That victory alone speaks volumes on your character and the type of person you are, as well as demonstrates the amount of self-control you have. Now let's move on to tip number 4, which is to listen actively and try to understand the other person's perspective. In 2020, I talked about this a lot, and it's the concept of listen to understand, not to respond. You see, sometimes the other party just wants to be heard. And if you are not listening to understand, but rather to respond, you will add fuel to the fire. So here are some tips on how to actively listen. Pay attention to the person speaking. Give them eye contact and show that you are engaged in what they are saying. Do not interrupt the person. Again, most want to feel heard. And if you interrupt them, you are saying what they have to say doesn't matter. Have an open mind. No judgment. Truly appreciate the other party's perspective, even if you don't agree with it. Empathize with the other party, which means to be aware and experience the feelings of others. Don't impose your opinions on others. It's not about you at this moment. Which leads me to tip number 5. Avoid making assumptions or jumping to conclusions. Try to think and execute in positive intent. When you make assumptions and jump to conclusions, it can lead to negative situations. Therefore, listen to what the party has to say and paraphrase it. Repeat it back to them, what you have heard, in a calm voice. Have them confirm you heard them correctly. Again, people want to be heard. And when you paraphrase, you are demonstrating you listen to what was said and you are truly engaging and actively listening. Which takes me to tip number 6. Think before you respond. Avoid becoming defensive and argumentative. Again, you don't want to fuel the fire, and it's not personal. This, again, is also controlling your emotions. Now, you can do this by seeking to find common ground in areas of agreement, focusing on the big picture by understanding the why, actively listening and being committed to results opposed to winning an argument. Which leads me to tip number 7. Don't respond out of emotion. Make sure to use non-threatening words. You can get your point across without threats. Now, let me be clear. Earlier, I said to acknowledge, own, and process your emotions, right? That was to help you take a step back so you didn't respond out of emotion. And now that you have acknowledged your emotions, be honest with the other party. Tell them how their behaviors are impacting you. You can stay professional and courteous while also getting your point across. In addition, you can look for opportunities to compromise or find a mutually beneficial solution. Again, focus on the problem at hand. Which takes me to tip number 8. Communicate assertively, expressing your own needs and boundaries clearly. Being assertive doesn't mean being rude. Being assertive means being confident and bold in how you communicate. There's nothing wrong with being confident in yourself and demonstrating that strength. You can do this by using I statements to express your own feelings and needs. Stay controlled in your communication. Again, check your emotions and ensure you are communicating confidently your needs and boundaries. And as I speak about boundaries, there's also a great 2-letter word that you should leverage more, and that is no. There's nothing wrong with saying no if it goes outside of your boundaries. Which takes me to step number 9. Hold them accountable. When you know better, you do better. Don't let people just walk over you all the time, because you will hold that in and then explode. You have advised the other party how you feel about their behaviors in the situation. Therefore, once you have come to a compromise or mutual beneficial solution, make sure to hold them accountable. Call them out if they step back into their own habits and recognize them when they don't. Appreciate people when they have taken your feedback to heart and you see a change in behavior. Now, there's one final tip I would like to share with you, which is tip number 10, especially if you are in a situation that just feels it cannot be resolved right away. You may need to take a step back and reevaluate the situation if necessary and seek outside help if the situation is not manageable. You may literally need to walk away depending on what is said to you. It may be the best course of action to advise the other participant that you would like to continue the conversation at a later time to have a more productive conversation. A response could be, "Thanks, I would like to think about this more before responding or moving forward." Sometimes it's best to address the situation at a later time, but don't wait too long to address it, because the longer you wait, the worse it could get. I would say give yourself 24 hours to decompress and digest the situation at hand. Now, we deal with difficult people in our daily lives. It is not something you will ever be able to avoid. However, how you react is key. Please don't get it twisted, though. There are times your reaction is not going to be what you would have liked it to be. As I stated earlier, executing these 10 tips are not always easy. But here's the thing. There are these things called grace and an apology. And hopefully you have built such strong character that those around you will know you are having a moment and give you that grace. However, when you make a mistake, own it. There's a lot of power in a sincere apology. It shows strength and not weakness. So there you have it. My top 10 tips for dealing with difficult people. I hope you have found some gems you can apply right away and some insights or maybe even some reminders. And if you have found this information beneficial, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, The BA Martial Artist, to receive alerts on when new content is posted. In addition, check out additional posts on my website at www.paulaabell.com. That's 2 A's in the middle. Also, please take a moment to leave a comment on what are some of the tips you leverage to deal with difficult people. I would love to hear from you and gain some gems from you as well. But until then, the BA Martial Artist, signing off.